All right, we are back. Episode number, I don't know. I don't think you probably know what number this is.
It's episode, yeah.
No idea. We don't keep track. We don't have fancy enough equipment where we can actually track the numbers. But another show.
I think it might be episode 100.
Yeah, maybe episode 100 minus about 86, maybe.
Give or take.
Yeah, somewhere. We're in the teens. I'm fair to guess we're somewhere in the teens. But we're back. It's been not quite 2 weeks, so that's good. We hit our deadline that we told people we wouldn't go more than 2 weeks. No, not quite every week. But we're actually recording this Sunday night, March 28th. So technically for us, we've basically hit one. I guess you could say if one gets released at the very beginning of 1 week and then we record at the very end of the next week, that's technically back-to-back weeks, right? Even if it's like 13 days apart.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not good at the tiered scoring, but I think you're right.
And you're not math. This isn't a math podcast either. But then when you're trying to add in dates plus math, it's not a good scenario.
February only had 28 days, so that throws everything off too. Yeah.
Well, you know what was cool is February had 28 days, which means you can essentially just look at March and it was the exact same day. So like the 21st of February was the same exact day as the 21st of March.
Wow. I did not know.
Yeah, that rarely happens. Normally you have to actually like count, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Anyway, one of those first world problems where if you try to figure out what day it is a month in the future, you have to say 30 or 31 days and then 7 days per week. It gets real complicated quick. But some big trades. We're going to go over some early SUPERFLEX ADP. Our last show was right in the midst of free agency, like day 2 or day 3 of free agency. And there's been a lot that's happened since then. 9 days since then, I believe, when it actually came out last. But I know you put together a show sheet, which is rare. We haven't had a show sheet in probably maybe since like episode 2. So except for that ADP show, which had a show sheet kind of. But yeah, Manic and Chill, Charles Chill, FFB, Shane is the worst, Dynasty and Chill, Dynasty Trade HQ, at DLF Football. I always think that's DLF Football, but it's DLF Football, right?
No, it's just DLF.
Right, but it's the Twitter handle, DLF, but then it's not football. You can't say at DLF Football because then they'll put 2 Ps.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've typed it in DLF Football and go, well, it's not showing up when I put in that second P. Yeah, all right.
Okay.
So big trades last week. Let's talk a little bit of I guess let's go through some early SUPERFLEX ADP, the way you're seeing it right now, and then talk a little bit about the clarity that way maybe we got on Friday with the trade between Miami, San Francisco, and the Eagles. 3-way trade, which essentially was 2 trades.
It was 2 trades.
Two trades, but basically they were done within 15 minutes of each other. So the Niners had one in mind before they pulled the trigger on the other one. So
apparently this trade, so the Eagles didn't move up because Joe Douglas pretty much told Hallie, like, hey, you could move up. It's just that the guy that you want's not going to be there at 3, Zach Wilson. So Sam Darnold's on his way out. Looks like Zach Wilson's going to be in his way in at number 3. But San Francisco apparently will take any quarterback they feel like. Tomorrow, I think Shanahan's going to Mac Jones Pro Day, and then he's sending a couple of the other minions to go see Justin Fields. So who knows? Both those guys, I guess, would work out in that offense. So would Trey Lance. It's fun. We're gonna find a way to cram 13 quarterbacks into the first 12 picks of the SUPERFLEX draft this time next month. It's going to be pretty impressive. So I don't know if you saw DLF's ADP, but 10 of the first 12 picks, quarterbacks.
Yep.
And I don't know what to do with that. It's never happened before. I actually did an article on this, just came out today. A lot of words. It was like 2,200 words, which is ridiculous. No one should let me. Someone should have stopped me.
Somebody stop me!
I should have stopped me. But anyway, point is this is the first time this has ever happened. We slowly built towards it. Well, I can't even say that. it's not even a slow build. It literally, like, last year there was 4 or 5 in the first round, and then we just went nuclear and drafted 10 in the first round. The thing is, I'm fine with the 10 that went in the first round. It's the guys that were drafted in the second and the third round and overdrafting because, well, you have to get a quarterback. So if you don't, you're going to be left behind. So you have to draft Daniel Jones, right? Early. Make sure you get him on your roster.
I think that becomes the question. And just if you're listening to this, Addison, go back about a minute and insert the Jim Carrey from The Mask. Somebody stop me. You got to insert that sound clip in there when Shane's talking about writing 2,200 words. So I think that's the question. Yeah. I mean, I know I was listening to the last HQ show and you said you actually avoided doing startups thus far, which I'm proud of you. Big round of applause for Shane. I've not been so lucky. I've probably done 4 already. And that's what they look like. The quarterbacks go way, way faster than I think people even anticipate. I've seen a couple others that people have sent me and asked me my advice on. They haven't been as quarterback heavy, and I'm going, well, it just depends on your crew, I think, of who you're drafting with. So just a couple things to deconstruct. I think that good news for Superflex, the Eagles trading back with the Dolphins and the Dolphins trading back with the 49ers gives a little more security to Tua and Jalen Hurts. If you're stuck in that round 3, 4, 5 range, whatever, wherever that second, third tier of quarterbacks is coming off the board, you feel a little more confident about those two after these trades, correct? At least for 1 year.
You have to. I mean, you don't feel so confident because if they could have gotten up for Zach Wilson, they would have. But I mean, I don't know. I wanted them to stay there and get Kyle Pitts. This is hard as an Eagles fan. That's what I wanted. Kyle Pitts or Jamar Chase.
So now is it an Eagles fan or former Eagles fan? Are you
no, I'm an Eagles fan again now. No,
okay.
I'm back. Sean Jackson's gone. Malik Jackson's gone. So I can root for the Eagles openly now. Okay. So that's great.
Cool. Yeah, so
no, I mean it sets. I'd like to see where Hurts is going to jump next month when we have a little time to digest this news. Because, the biggest thing about Hurts is the risk that he's not the quarterback there long term. And he's still QB 14. So with a little more security, I wonder if he'll break into the top 12.
Well, this is one thing I was saying on Twitter the other day. So here's, I think, one of the things you have to weigh when you're in these startup drafts. Forget about Tua, forget about Hurts specifically for this year. I think it's a vouch of confidence from their teams, at least to say, we are not considering drafting a quarterback. Neither of those teams are going to move back from the leverage spot that they have. Obviously, Miami had more leverage than the Eagles at 3 versus 6. But the fact that they're both willing to trade back, especially with other teams that are trying to play ball, probably to get quarterbacks, that kind of says we're not looking quarterback in this draft. And, whether you buy the reports that the Eagles would have traded up and done the same thing that San Fran did, but they didn't want to pay the price, maybe you buy that, maybe you don't. But I think those guys become safe. Here's the thing with Superflex, though. If I go through the ADP right now, once you get down to the Matthew Stafford, Baker Mayfield, Kirk Cousins, Ryan Tannehill range, that's the cutoff point to where I think you can confidently say these guys have a surefire job after next year anyway. And you could even say like Kirk Cousins is like the line there. Like he's probably going to have a job because he's good enough that I think even if the Vikings move on from him in a year, and they can't really with his contract, but let's just say, it's hard to look at contracts and be like, oh, there's no way they're going to move that guy within 2 years. And then next year it's like, oh, they're giving up 3 firsts just to get out from under him because they can get somebody else. I mean, we can't dismiss that regardless of what the contract says. But I think everybody else after that, it's a 1-year bet anyway. So what you're banking on if you draft Jalen Hurts is I have 1 year of potentially top 12 or better upside, right? And maybe I get a bonus and get a couple extra years where he's battling for a starting job. If you're drafting Jalen Hurts really high in a startup because you think he's the future of the franchise and is going to start there for 6 to 8 years, I would say that's probably a bad bet at this point, just because he's probably got to be really good to hold off. I mean, and as a Eagles fan / former fan to now back to a fan, they're just one of those teams where it doesn't matter who the starter is, unless it's Pat Mahomes or Deshaun Watson, when he's not having the off the field troubles, unless it's a surefire stud, the Eagles seem like the team that every year they're going to look at their quarterback room and go, we got quarterback 13, but maybe we can get quarterback 9. How do we move around and do it? And we're not scared to put quarterback 13 and quarterback 9 on the same team and make them fight over the job, which for Dynasty, that's a nightmare. We don't want Jalen Hurts to have a top 12 season, go into next year and the Eagles go, well, we're still picking 5 overall. Let's consider another quarterback. Because wouldn't you say they're not scared to, even if Hurts is good, they're not scared to draft another one, are they?
No, they've shown that they don't believe in the sunk cost fallacy. They don't believe in keeping the quarterback, I guess, the starting quarterback feeling secure. Yep. They did it with Wentz. They had to know Wentz wasn't going to be able to deal with Hurts being drafted there. And then Wentz said it in his press conference. As soon as he was benched, he started to look for ways to move on. To me, that shows even that's like, they're married to a quarterback, but kind of not really. Like maybe married in Utah where they could take on other spouses, because they definitely seem like they have a wandering eye. Like they definitely seem like, yeah, all right, this is nice, but could we do better? I think we could do better. And I skipped over the Tua thing. I was never worried about him. So he's a guy I was buying up all over the offseason, and I was fine with people being concerned about him because I didn't see it. I thought he had actually a decent rookie season, especially considering the fact that the guy was coming back from a hip injury that we didn't even know if he was going to be able to play again. And now that they moved back up to 6, and basically it looks like they're going to have their pick of Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, or a lineman, depending on what, the Bengals do. I love Tua. Will Fuller and Jamar Chase, Will Fuller and Kyle Pitts compared to what he was thrown to last year. Devontae Parker is your third weapon instead of your first. It's really nice. It's a really nice situation. And they have picks coming out of their nose for the next 3 years, multiple first-round picks. So even if Fuller doesn't stick around, they can replace him with another wide receiver. Devontae Parker said they want to move on from him. That's fine. We'll go get another wide receiver. They can do whatever they want in the draft, especially having that franchise quarterback. And they've shown at least it seems that they've shown by their words and their actions that Tua is their guy. Even though everyone felt that the Dolphins weren't really all in on Tua. Brian Flores kept saying that, no, he's our guy, and everything they've done has shown that he's their guy. Kirk Cousins, it's funny, if they were to cut him this year, $41 million cap hit, which is wow.
Well, and I don't think they cut Cousins, and I don't think they're committed to Cousins for 2 more years. I think the problem is he's never going to be safe in Dynasty because there's always this narrative that you can upgrade from Cousins. If you really dig into his numbers, like he's not bad. He's actually really good. He's at that
quarterback.
Right.
Every year.
But the problem is, as long as you don't win with them, there's always going to be the talks of, can we find somebody better? And the truth is, you probably can find somebody better, but unless you're in the prime spot, I guess my point is Cousins is kind of a rich man's like Gardner Minshew situation last year, where it's like, hey, Kirk, you're the starter in 2021. Your contract says you're going to be the starter in 2022. The only way you're not the starter is if we go out and we're 2-14 and we're picking at 101 or 102. Then your job's in the jeopardy. Then your job is in trouble. But if you can get us to 8-8, 9-7, and we're within striking distance, in a way, you're going to play your way out of ever being in a position where we're going to be tempted to even move up a couple spots. If you're in the top 5, you're tempted to move up a couple spots to get that quarterback, especially if you have one of these teams that got one this year that's picking in the top 5 next year. So I think that's where Cousins can basically just keep playing his way away from any sort of competition. As long as the team's average, it's going to be really hard for them to move on if he continues to perform how the level that he is right now. So I guess here's the brilliant move about what Miami did is they traded back from 3 to 12, got 2 firsts and a third. Then, this is the game theory move. Then they doubled down, traded up, didn't give up one of those picks that they traded for, and basically said, we're banking that you're going to, they're going for the home run hit here. San Francisco is going to draft a bust, right? And they might continue to suck. We're giving away our own pick, gambling on ourselves. We're keeping that San Fran pick for the next 2 years. Hopefully, they draft a quarterback and they keep Garoppolo. Then they don't know what they're going to, they're hoping that they're better than San Francisco. So I love the shrewdness of just saying, hey, we got 2 picks. We're so confident in what we've done with that trade. We're just going to give away our first, which, the thing about Miami is what? I mean, before this year, they've picked in the top 10, a couple years before that. So it's like, that the numbers probably say they should be giving up the San Francisco pick instead of their own, but they're betting on themselves. But let's just walk through where the cutting line is. Cause let's assume you're doing a 12-team SUPERFLEX right now, Shane. Okay. You got the ADP pulled up? All right.
Yep, I do.
So Mahomes, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray. I'll skip over Watson for a second. Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, Joe Burrow, and we'll just assume that there's rookie picks in the draft. 101, Trevor Lawrence. Those 8 you would say are going to go in the first round of the startup, probably. Correct?
Easy. Yep.
Okay. So now I've been in a couple startups since. Deshaun Watson is still going in the first round. He may fall to the end. And I can see him continuing to fall a little bit as more startups take place, especially after the NFL draft. But for now, I'm still going to put him in that first, let's just call it 15 picks, right?
Yeah.
So 9 quarterbacks. Now with Watson leaving that spot, let's say he moves down. If you're picking at the 111 and you just don't want to waste a first round startup pick on Deshaun Watson because you're not sure what's going to happen, you take Russell Wilson in that spot. Justifiable, right?
Yeah, you know how I feel about Russ, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're at what, 10?
Mm-hmm.
A couple updates. I have tried to trade 3 Deshaun Watson shares in the last week, straight up for the 102, all rejected.
Yeah.
So you put 102, whoever you want 102, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Mac Jones, in that top. I mean, if you're going just down the line in quarterbacks, that 102 is right in there too, don't you think? Especially with the chance that a Fields goes to San Francisco or something like that. I mean,
oh, definitely. And I know for a fact that I have Watson in a couple leagues, and I'm afraid of this situation. I'll just leave it at that.
Yep.
I've tried to trade him for the 104, and I can't get the 104 for the guy straight up. And, that's probably as low as I'll go on rookie picks because I don't want the 5th best quarterback in a SUPERFLEX league rookie draft. I'll take the 4th though. Like, I'm comfortable with that top 4 as much as people talk up Mac Jones. I can't get there with him. But yeah, you're not getting the 102 for Deshaun Watson. It's not happening. Not in this world, not in this market.
So let's continue the exercise then, because that's 11 right there. And you may not be able to get the 102 for Deshaun Watson, but there's probably somebody in your startup that will take Deshaun Watson in this range. They're living on the edge. They're going, hey, if he misses 1 year, big deal. He's still going to come back at 26 years old and be in his prime. So that's 11 quarterbacks. John Hogue, shout out to John Hogue of DLF, in a startup right now. Everyone knows his strategy. QB, take QBs till the cows come home. Guess what? That startup, 9 straight quarterbacks went off the board. He didn't take 102. He took Aaron Rodgers, 110. Little risky, but justifiable that if that's how your draft's going, you could see Aaron Rodgers in the top 3 to 5 picks of the second round, couldn't you? Maybe. Might not be your cup of tea,
not
but
me,
you can see him in there.
Yeah, someone's going to do it. Someone's definitely going to do it because they're going to go, I can get 2 more years of elite production from Aaron Rodgers. That's enough for an early first round or early second round pick. And I can't really dispute that because I know we play Dynasty, but it's not really long term like that. It's constantly moving. So you should only be playing in 2-3 year windows. So yeah, I can see it. I wouldn't do it. But I wouldn't be surprised by it, and I wouldn't say it's a bad move.
Well, and that's the idea is you see the first 10 picks go off the board and there's quarterbacks, and now you're picking at the end. And you have to make that decision on the fly. Like, because next question, that's 12 off the board. Now that we have the Niners trading up at the 103, and I think the consensus, at least on Twitter and from people that I've talked to, is whoever the Niners take with their quarterback at 3 is going to be the guy, especially if it's Fields. That's going to be the guy that jumps way up just because they believe in Shanahan, they believe in the offense. So here's the next one, quarterback 13. Let's just go in the top 20 picks of the startup. Are you taking the 103? Now you know that there's going to be a pick 102 in the NFL draft. Are you taking the 103 pick inside the top 20 picks?
No, I'm going to pass.
With 12 quarterbacks off the board?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm getting to the point where once we get to quarterback 12 through 16, 17,
well, 12 would be Fields, so that's 102. So we've established there's 12 off the board. I know you don't like Rodgers, but let's just say
I don't like him. It's just
you wouldn't take him in the top 18 picks of a startup.
No.
So let's just say 12 out of the top 18 picks are off the board. Now, and you've established you're not taking the 103. You're not taking Matthew Stafford, Baker Mayfield, Ryan Tannehill, Jalen Hurts, Tua, the 104, Trey Lance, or, Zach Wilson, whoever it might be. So here, you'd be taking these guys over DeAndre Swift, Cam Akers,
Stephon Diggs,
Kamara, right, and any of the top probably 5 to 7 receivers that you like.
CeeDee Lamb,
Kelsey, Kittle, Waller.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about like elite top 8 or better skill position players at non-quarterback spots. Yeah. So that's the question. You get anybody that's going to do a startup or has done a couple, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're stuck in this spot. And the worst place is like at the 112, if the 11 picks before you were quarterbacks. Because now you've catered your strategy to, the first 11 picks are off the board, all quarterbacks. And you're telling me I can draft Christian McCaffrey and Jonathan Taylor back-to-back and start with literally the 2 best running backs and maybe the 2 most valuable non-quarterback players in Dynasty, and I get them at the turn? Here's the question, though. You get to round 3 and round 4, let's say 103, 104, Stafford, Hurts, Mayfield, Tannehill, and Tua are off the board. So now that's 19 quarterbacks off the board, and you're there at the 3 and 4, and you're still staring at your quarterback room going, the value on the board ain't quarterback, is it? It's probably anything else but quarterback. Probably receivers or probably even still running backs. So that's the question. You get stuck. You go McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor. Well, guess what? You've now catered your entire strategy. The next probably 6 rounds, there's going to be no value for you at quarterback. You're just going to have to punt. So what are you going to do?
Kirk Cousins will still be on the board because.
But do you take him there though? Because round 3, if you take Kirk Cousins in round 3, I would argue you were losing more value with that pick than if you took Aaron Rodgers on the turn or whoever the last 12th guy there was, in my opinion.
So round 3.
But I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, no, round 3, you're right. You still can't go with that. So at this point, you've committed, like you said, you've committed that you're just going to have quarterbacks at the end. Or I don't know how low rookie picks are left. You got to start accruing them. But you've definitely committed to I guess I'm going to have Daniel Jones, Mitch Trubisky, Andy Dalton, Drew Lock, Field. Like that's just, I'm going to have those guys. I'm going to have 10 of those guys. What I advocated for in my article today was kind of just the punt the baby situation where, all right, I'm fine with drafting a quarterback first. I'm fine with that. Everyone else is going to do it. I have to do it because to get a top 10 quarterback, you just have to in the first round. You're going to have to. After that, though, I'm not drafting another quarterback probably for a while. I do have a startup this coming next Sunday. And it was a derby. I had the 101, and I decided just to make it really easy on myself. I took the 101. I said, I'm drafting Pat Mahomes in this, and then after that, whatever happens, happens. By the time I'm up again, it might be Drew Lock. And you know what? I'm not going to draft Drew Lock over Stephon Diggs, or specifically who I cited in my article, Baker Mayfield over Stephon Diggs. Like that's just not going to happen.
Well, let me throw this out there to you, because I think this is the arbitrage play if you're picking in the 101. That's a great place to be. Obviously, because you get Pat Mahomes. I mean, no brainer. But just with what we just talked about, there becomes this vacuum where it goes so many quarterbacks. So the first round, if the top 11 picks off the board are quarterbacks, or the top 2 draft picks, the precedent has now been set in your league. You probably have a couple QB hoarders in that league that are going to always make you pay when they know that you've built this team with McCaffrey and Jonathan Taylor. And then let's say round 3, round 4, you turn around and, you take Darren Waller and, I don't know, Ezekiel Elliott, or, a third really strong running back, right? And you're going, now I have a massive advantage at running back and an elite tight end. We know you can find receivers, round 5, 6, 7, 8. There's going to be some solid veteran receivers that can produce. So you could look up in 8 or 9 rounds and people could be looking at your team saying, man, he's got really good running backs, an elite tight end, 3 or 4 really good receivers, top 30, 36 receivers. I'm not going to let this guy get a quarterback. So basically, you're going to have guys that go, you know what? He didn't take Kirk Cousins in round 3 and round 4. I sure as heck ain't letting him get back to round 5 and round 6. Daniel Jones, yeah, he has a little upside. He's my QB4. That's okay. I'll snag him. I'm not going to let this team get one. So you find yourself now in round 12, and it's like, do I really want to pick up Taysom Hill, or, do I really want to take a shot on Sam Darnold? I'm not sure if he's going to start, or Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, that's kind of where you're going to have to build your team. So my play is the opposite, Shane. You're at the 101 with what I just told you, and I've done this twice already in startups. I'm picking early, right? I get Mahomes, Allen, Kyler, Lamar, Herbert, whatever. I then take my 2nd and 3rd round pick, package them together, find somebody else in the top 8 that's willing to trade me. Boom. I start with, I started a team, Patrick Mahomes, Trevor Lawrence. Started another team, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson. And then I hope that this quarterback swell happens in round 2 and round 3.
Right.
So my 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is a lot stronger, and I'm still building tight end and receiver. I'm kind of okay punting running backs once we get to the outside, like the top 20. If I'm picking, Chase Edmonds at running back 25, or AJ Dillon at running back 23, or Ronald Jones. I mean, to me, those guys are way too high compared to I can get Darrell Henderson at running back 45, and he's still an injury away to have as much upside or better than Ronald Jones. So I'm fine going 0 RB if I miss out on the top 15 or 20. But if this swell of quarterbacks happens, I mean, man, you trade your 2 and a 3 for another 1. You get back a 7, right? Maybe a 7 or an 8. Feels like it hurts a little bit until you realize, man, I can build a heck of a team, and I'm sitting on Pat Mahomes and Kyler Murray. How many starters is in your league? You remember?
10. Do you hear me? 10.
No, 10.
10.
I mean, listen, you go Mahomes, Kyler. That's basically just fill in the gaps. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you should have.
That's a top 8 team, but the 2 quarterbacks, pretty much.
And I talked about that last week on some show I did, where maybe that is a good strategy too, because there's going to be weeks where those 2 guys will put up 85 points, and it won't matter what the rest of your team does. It can be below average production at every other position, and you're going to win. And what we've already seen is people are going to go nuts on quarterbacks in the 2nd and 3rd round, especially after you've just set the precedent going, all right, well, I got Mahomes, and now I have Trevor Lawrence. Everyone's going to be playing catch up at that point. These drafts aren't so slow that someone's going to take a step back and go, you know what? I'm not going to be able to catch up with him playing quarterback war. I've lost that war. Let me just go murder him at other positions. They're going to do what, based off the ADP, has been happening all year, is overdrafting guys like Baker Mayfield, overdrafting guys, was Jimmy Garoppolo, Jameis Winston. No, I'm fine letting those guys just float away. We'll see. This is a new crowd. Sleeper, which also makes trading a little harder for me.
I mean, yeah, you actually threw a wrench in the plan there because I swear on Sleeper, and no shade to Sleeper, I have some Sleeper leagues, but it definitely does seem like the people in Sleeper leagues run in a slightly they're in a different universe sometimes in terms of how they see things, and that's just my perception.
I think it's just the trading isn't. Look, man, MFL, we can bitch about it all we want. One thing that is perfect on that site, well, not perfect because they screwed something up, but the trading is just almost just perfect on that site. Sleeper, it's a little more work, and people don't really want to put in the effort, to be honest with you. They're just like, this is a lot of work.
Yeah, there's times on Sleeper where I'm not even sure what I'm trading for. I have to like go into the league chat and say like, what picks do I have again? Like where do they fall? Like, is there a draft board I can look at? Or, you know, especially if the commish hasn't set the draft order yet and it just says like 2021 pick. And I'm like, so this guy's sending me 2 firsts for 2 firsts. What am I missing here? You know, am I going to hit accept and trade the 102 and the 104 for the 110 and the 112? I mean, so it is interesting with that. But we're going to be on another podcast. I'll wait till it comes out to plug it. I'll post on Twitter. But that startup I was talking about, I traded up to get a second elite quarterback. 2 other people inside the top 8 also traded up to acquire another top 8 pick. John Hogue at 110 took Rodgers, and at 203 he took Tannehill. So the 3 people that traded up hoarded the quarterbacks. They have 2 elites, and then he takes 2 more. So we are at, after the 203, 13 quarterbacks are off the board. And I got the 102 actually at the 209. So I have Lamar, Herbert, and the 102. And so I'm going, man, like that, it worked because I could tell early based on those moves. 4 people were going to hoard quarterbacks, right, or we're going to prioritize getting 2 elite ones, which means a couple teams are going to be squeezed out. And we're currently in the startup right now. There's some teams that are squeezed out. But yeah, update us. Maybe you can kind of talk us through the next startup draft to see how it goes. Because 101, man, I want to see what kind of moves you can make.
Yeah, and there's always a chance of trading out. We'll see. Not likely, but now I'm going to be probably hoarding all my efforts towards getting another first round pick before I even make a move. Yeah.
Next show it'll be Shane is in round 10 of that startup and he doesn't have a quarterback. What did he do? Traded down like 10 times and then he hates his team.
Trading back, real quick, and this will be in the next DLF draft guide update. Trading back only works in certain rounds. It's not for every round. I know that's been our mantra and it's been beat into our head for the last 4 years, but this is a whole new world. With the way SUPERFLEX is being played now. It's literally like everyone just discovered that you could put another quarterback in that SUPERFLEX position. They're like, wait. You mean I could put 2? Because that's how it's being drafted now. People have, it was 5 quarterbacks that were drafted in the first round last year, and it jumped to 10 this year. It's incredible.
Shout out to Addison. Go back about 30 seconds and overplay the Little Mermaid. It's a whole new world.
Do it.
Finish your point. Go ahead.
I don't think I had a point. It's just it's going to be fun. I love when things aren't paint by numbers, right? So I love the fact that this is completely changed in 1 year. Just 1 year. Like this hasn't even been a gradual build towards it. Like it was literally 2018, it was 1 quarterback, which boggles my mind now. 2019, it was 3. Last year, 5. And then just boom, 10. And I love it because this gives a lot of people different ways to build their rosters. There's going to be some teams that are so top heavy at running back that you're going to look at them and go, I don't know how I can win this week. And then you'll look at your quarterbacks and go, I don't know how I could ever lose. Like, am I ever going to lose? I'm probably going to go, but how many games are we going to play now in a 17 game season? 13, 14?
14.
I'm going to go 14 14-0 and then 3-0 in the playoffs probably. So it's going to be fun.
Hey guys, just want to interject right here. So I was going through and editing this, and they continued to record about another 40 minutes of this Manic and Chill episode, totaling out to being like over an hour and 10 minutes long. So I decided that this felt like a natural break right here, to just kind of cut it, make 2 35-ish minute videos. And selfishly, I think that would be better for our YouTube channel analytics, but also for you guys as well too, because then, you know, you can kind of have a break and we're not like Zack Snyder Justice League you over here for like 4 hours in one break. So I feel like this was just a good place to kind of cut it for now, and then part 2 will be the remainder of this episode tomorrow, or if you're watching this not on drop day, part 2 will be the next Manic and Chill episode, and then we'll keep it going. So yeah, so later.